Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, "Let thy light be in me like a fire that makes all alive. Let thy divine love penetrate me. I aspire with all my being for thy reign as sovereign and master of my mind, heart, and body. Let them be thy docile instruments and thy faithful servitors. With always our love and blessings," says our Divine Mother. Shri Aurobindo Savitri, Book 1, The Book of Beginnings, Canto 3, The Yoga of the Soul's Release, page 42. His heights of being lived in the still self. His mind could rest on a supernal ground and look down on the magic and the play where the God-child lies on the lap of night and dawn, and the everlasting puts on time's disguise. To the still heights and to the troubled depths, his equal spirit gave its vast ascent, a poised serenity of tranquil strength, a wide, unshaken look on time's unrest, based on experience with unaltered peace, indifferent to the sorrow and delight, untempted by the marvel and the call, immobile, it beheld the flux of things, calm and apart, supported all that is. His spirit's stillness helped the toiling world, inspired by silence and the closed eyes sight. His force could work with a new luminous art on the crude material from which all is made, and the refusal of inertia's mass, and the grey front of the world's ignorance, and the nescient matter, and the huge error of life. As a sculptor chisels a deity out of stone, he slowly chipped off the dark envelope, line of defense of nature's ignorance, the illusion and mystery of the inconscient, in whose black power the eternal wraps his head, that he may act unknown in cosmic time. A splendor of self-creation from the peaks, a transfiguration in the mystic depths, a happier cosmic working, could begin and fashion the world shape in him anew. God found in nature, nature fulfilled in God. Already in him was seen that task of power. Life made its home on the high tops of self. His soul, mind, heart became a single sun. Only life's lower reaches remained dim. But there too, in the uncertain shadow of life, there was a labor and a fiery breath. The ambiguous cold celestial puissance worked, watched by the inner witnesses, moveless peace. Even on the struggling nature left below, strong periods of illumination came. Lightnings of glory after glory burned. Experience was a tale of blaze and fire. Air rippled round the argosies of the gods. Strange riches sailed to him from the unseen. Splendors of insight filled the blank of thought. Knowledge spoke to the inconscient stillnesses. Rivers poured down of bliss and luminous force. Visits of beauty, storm sweeps of delight, rained from the all-powerful mystery above. Thence stooped the eagles of omniscience. A dense veil was rent, a mighty whisper heard, repeated in the privacy of his soul, a wisdom cry from rapt transcendences, sang on the mountains of an unseen world. The voices that an inner listening hears conveyed to him their prophet utterances, and flame-wrapped outbursts of the immortal word and flashes of an occult revealing light approached him from the unreachable secrecy. Words of Our Lord Shri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of Our Lord Shri Aurobindo SABCL, book The Mother with Letters, topic Real and Complete Submission, page 133. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, it is necessary if you want to progress in your sadhana that you should make the submission and surrender of which you speak sincere, real and complete. This cannot be as long as you mix up your desires with your spiritual aspiration. It cannot be as long as you cherish vital attachment to family, child, or anything or anybody else. If you are to do this integral yoga, you must have only one desire and aspiration to receive the spiritual truth and manifest it in all your thoughts, feelings, actions, and nature. You must not hunger after any relations with anyone. The relations of the sadhak with others must be created for him from within. The relation of the sadhak with others must be created for him from within when he has the true consciousness and lives in the divine light. They will be determined within him by the power and the will of the Divine Mother according to the supramental truth for the divine life and the divine work. They must not be determined by his mind and his vital desires. This is the thing you have to remember. Your psychic being is capable of giving itself to the Mother and living and growing in the truth. But your lower vital being has been full of attachments and samskaras and an impure moment of desire, and your external physical mind was not capable to shake off its ignorant ideas and habits and open to the truth. That was the reason why you were unable to progress, because you were keeping up an element and moments which could not be allowed to remain. For they were the exact opposite of what has to be realized in a divine life. The Mother can only free you from these things if you really want it. Not only in your psychic being, but in your physical mind and all your vital nature. The sign will be that you no longer cherish or insist on your personal notions, attachments, or desires, and that whatever the distance and wherever you may be, you will feel yourself open and the power and the presence of the Divine Mother with you, within you, working in you, and will be contented, quiet, confident, wanting nothing else, awaiting always the Mother's will. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, put all before the Mother in your heart so that her light may work on it for the best. The life of samskara is in its nature a field of unrest. To go through it in the right way, one has to offer one's lives and actions to the Divine and pray for the peace of the Divine within. When the mind becomes quiet, when one can feel the Divine Mother supporting the life and put everything into her hands, says our Lord Shri Aurobindo. Next subtopic, the necessary effort. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo gives us the steps here and says, what you say of sadhana is true. Sadhana is necessary and the divine force cannot do things in the void but must lead each one according to his nature to the point at which he can feel the Divine Mother working within and doing all for him. Till then, the sadhak's aspiration, self-consecration, assent and support to the Mother's workings, his rejection of all that comes in the way is very necessary, indispensable. The effort demanded of the sadhak is that of aspiration, rejection and surrender. If these three are done, the rest is to come of itself by the grace of the Divine Mother and the working of her force in you. But of the three, the most important is surrender, of which the first necessary form is trust and confidence and patience in times of difficulties. There is no rule, says our Lord, there is no rule that trust and confidence can only remain if aspiration is there. On the contrary, when even aspiration is not there, because of the pressure of inertia, trust and confidence and patience can remain. If the trust and the patience fail, when the aspiration is quiescent, that would mean that the sadhak is relying solely on his own effort. It would mean, oh, my aspiration has failed, so there is no hope for me. My aspiration fails, so what can Mother do? On the contrary, says our Lord, the sadhak should feel, never mind, my aspiration will come back again. Meanwhile, I know that the Divine Mother is with me even when I do not feel her. She will carry me even through the darkest periods. That is the fully right attitude you must have. Let me repeat. The sadhak should feel, says our Lord, never mind, my aspiration will come back again. Meanwhile, I know that the Mother is with me even when I do not feel her. She will carry me even through the darkest period. This is the full right attitude one must have. To those who have it, depression can do nothing. Even if it comes, it has to return, baffled. That is not tamasic surrender. Tamasic surrender is when one says, I don't do anything. I want the Mother to do everything. Aspiration, rejection, surrender even are not necessary. Let her do all that in me. There is a great difference between the two attitudes. One is that of the shirker who won't do anything. The other is that of the sadhak who does his best. But when he is reduced to quiescence for a time and things are adverse, keep always his trust in the Divine Mother's force and presence behind all, and by that trust baffles the opposition force and calls back the activity of the sadhana. This was told by our Lord on 26th October 1936. Next subtopic, in the mother's lap. Question. I find it very difficult to do the right kind of concentration. Since I can't concentrate properly, would it not be best for me to imagine myself lying eternally in the Divine Mother's lap? For this, our Lord says, this is the best possible kind of concentration. Next subtopic, the Divine Mother's force. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, nothing can be done except through the force of the Divine Mother. All has to be done by the working of the Divine Mother's force, aided by your aspiration, devotion, and surrender. What is Mother's force? You often speak of the Mother's force. What is it? Is the question. For this, our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, it is the divine force which works to remove the ignorance, egoism, and change the nature into the divine nature. The force of Prakriti and the Mother's force is the next subtopic. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, when I speak of the Mother's force, I do not speak of the force of Prakriti, which carries in it the things of ignorance, but of the higher force of the divine that descends from above to transform the nature. But there was no intention of the Mother's part. It is yourself who, by coming to the Mother, become aware of your mistakes. Next subtopic, descent and working of the Mother's force. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, there is a force which accompanies the growth of the new consciousness and at once grows with it and helps to come about and perfect itself. This force is the Yoga Shakti. Let me repeat, there is a force which accompanies the growth of the new consciousness and at once grows with it and helps it to come about and to perfect itself. This force is the Yoga Shakti. It is here coiled up and asleep in all the centers of your inner beings, the chakras, and is at the base, what is called the Tantras, the Kundalini Shakti. But it is also above us, above our head, as the divine force, not there coiled up, involved and asleep, but awake, scient, potent, extended and wide. It is there waiting for a manifestation, and to this force we have to open ourselves to the power of the Divine Mother. In the mind, it manifests itself as a divine mind force or a universal mind force, and it can do everything that the personal mind cannot do. It is then the yogic mind force. When it manifests and acts in the vital or physical in the same way, it is there apparent as a yogic life force or a yogic body force. It can awake in all these forms, bursting outward and upwards, extending itself into wideness from below, or it can descend and become there a definite power for things. It can pour downwards into the body, working, establishing its reign, extending its wideness from above, link the lowest in us with the highest above us, realize the individual into a cosmic universality or into absoluteness and transcendence. Certainly, says our Lord, in a sense, the descent of the higher powers is the Divine Mother's own descent, for it is she who comes down in them. When the peace is established, this higher or divine force from above can descend and work in us. It descends usually first into the head and liberates the inner mind centers, then into the heart center and liberates fully the psychic and the emotional being, then into the navel and other vital centers and liberates the inner vital, then into the Mooladhara and below and liberates the inner physical being. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, it works at the same time for perfection as well as liberation. It takes up the whole nature part by part and deals with it, rejecting what has to be rejected, sublimating what has to be sublimated, creating what has to be created. It integrates, harmonizes, establishes a new rhythm in the nature. It can bring down too a higher and yet higher force and range of the higher nature until, if that be the aim of the sadhana, it becomes possible to bring down the supramental force and existence. All this is prepared, assisted, and fathered by the work of the psychic being in the heart center. The more it is open in front, active, the quicker, safer, easier the working of the force can be. Our Lord Shri Aurobindo says, the more love and bhakti and surrender grow in the heart, the more rapid and perfect becomes the evolution of the sadhana. For the descent and transformation imply at the same time an increasing contact and union with the divine. The descent and transformation imply at the same time an increasing contact and union with the divine. That is the fundamental rationale of the sadhana in integral yoga.